Hi, and welcome to the Future of Dermatology podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Farah Kamangar, board certified dermatologist. We are here to talk about anything and everything dermatology related. You'll hear from me and my guests who are dermatologists, physicians, experts, scientists, residents, and medical students in the field of dermatology. We publish weekly, so if you like what you hear, hit that subscribe button and show us some love, and thank you for joining us.
Evolutionary brain is very primitive, but right now it's working for you. Right now your primitive brain has taken control, and it has one purpose, and that purpose is to survive. And how will it do that? It's got a mate. Okay, relax. And what is the most attractive feature between two people? Is it your flowing hair or your big blue eyes? It isn't. It's the quality of your skin.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Fields. That was such an amazing TEDx event, such an amazing talk. Thank you so much for joining us again to do a debrief of the entire event. So I'd love to just get your thoughts. How did the event go for you? What did you think of the talk and a TEDx event in general?
Well, first of all, TEDx is not in general. It's really a tremendous accomplishment to you and your sister for arranging it, getting everybody on that same beautiful stage. The effort involved was Herculean, and I really loved it. It came together in a way I didn't imagine because you had so many people with different interests. But in the end, we all seemed to be on a similar theme, and it really built, and I really enjoyed it. I learned from everybody.
Yeah, we learned so much from you. And I have to just start by saying a huge thank you to you for always giving us your guidance, your time. You're just so generous with your time. You do so many things. And to make this event happen, you came off a plane, off of a long international flight, and just showed up amazing, delivered it just with perfection. And we're always just in awe of you giving us your time. And also, how do you achieve that? How do you balance everything, but to like your 100% perfection? That's wild.
Well, I'm not sure if it was 100% or perfection, but I enjoyed it. And, this was a new and different challenge. I've never done a TED Talk before. And I thought, why not? Take a chance. Got nothing to lose. It'll be fun, camaraderie. Really enjoyed the women that you brought. They were all stupendous. And so the secret is that energy and curiosity. And even at 66, I still have it. I want to be part of the action and relevant and in the middle of the excitement. And you brought it by putting everybody on stage, and with that tension of you got to put together a talk, pull it together. It has to come out of your brain, be articulate, is not so simple. And so it's just fun and a challenge. If you come at anything in life as fearful, things don't go so well. What was interesting was there was some technical difficulties. And in that last minute, Jerry Rice was right there to pick up the ball, literally, and give us a little power boost. I think he was a rice breaker, help the crowd relax, have everybody feel good and say, we've got this. And that's what you need in life is a team leader or a mentor or somebody that believes in you and your cause and is saying, go, just go. It's going to be okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Because that's true. The morning of, we had everything perfected down to as much as we can. And we had our talks, and then real life happens. And there were AV issues because the night before power had gone out. But like you mentioned, like with you there and Jerry Rice, like, you know what? It doesn't matter if our video doesn't play. We had kind of like lead up songs for all of the speakers to go up with. What I would consider kind of the extra fluff kind of pieces. They went away, which gives you a little bit of, anxiety. But then we realized how great the content was because we didn't need any of that extra things. And we just had you guys as just mentors and pillars. Like we can't go wrong when we have speakers who are this amazing. And I'd love to get into your talk. Your talk was fantastic. And the link is going to be below. So everyone should check it out for themselves. I just think the work you're doing and you've been doing for decades now with just bringing awareness to how important skin issues are is fantastic. And then you brought in the element of now with social media, how it's even more so than 10 or 20 years ago. I'd love to just get into what your main message was, key points, and you're just going to deeper meaning with your talk.
Oh, the deeper meaning. So my husband and I are involved in a lot of philanthropies, and really at the top is mental health for our kids. And we are seeing this isolation and despair and depression and anxiety, and it's crippling. And the remedy for kids today, adults today, is this filtered version of yourself. And no one can keep up with this unreal reality. So it's devastating. And I don't know where the future is going with this, but we really need to call it out, because no human can live under this kind of even self-imposed scrutiny. So for us, as I see this unfolding, and I'm happy to say there are more constraints now on social media by the US government, which is good. Somebody's got to feel the heat here. And we, as the adults in the room, need to take the stress off our own kids. But all of these stigmatizing conditions, from acne to psoriasis, atopic dermatitis, a mole in the wrong place, all of these things become magnified, and they're horrifying in a young person. They don't know what to do with it, because your face is everything on who you are in this phony virtual world. And then for the adults who carry that pain along with them as they grow older, we need to identify that, acknowledge that, nurture and heal that pain. I think, as you and I know, when we read our dermatology journals, it's loaded with the psychological evaluation. Is it bad to have visible psoriasis, alopecia areata, vitiligo? Yes, it is. And the magic is, in our specialty, we can correct it. We can help people on their journey, but we need to be sensitive to this mental anguish. So that was the point in the lecture, is it's not, oh, by the way, this is important. And as doctors, we need to lean into that side, the psychological side of dermatology.
Yeah, you make such a great point. And we've had our mentors in dermatology like you who've changed the field with the different talks, with the quality of life trials that have shown incidences like our psoriasis patients have quality of life to the same level as maybe people with diabetes, hypertension, cardiac disease, cancers. And those studies, when they came out, they were shocking that, what we would say, oh, it's just skin, it's just a rash, or it's just acne. But the quality of life measures show that when you have it, because you might not see someone's high blood pressure, but skin things, you see it they see it, people see it, they interact with the whole world with what they have on their skin. And so it's been amazing, that shift, I think, in culture that you are largely actually to thank for as well. I mean, I remember even back in the day, the proactive commercials were, for the first time, you're like, oh, this is important. Whereas I feel like the generations before was sort of like, oh, the acne is something you just outgrow, right? It doesn't have to be something they have to actually go find a dermatologist and treat.
Even to this day, parents think, it's a rite of passage. My kid will grow out of it. It's not important. Here's how important it is. Patient was in my office and she was agitated. So I said, what's going on at home? How are you doing? She said, well, my son is acting out. He's a teenager. I go, oh, tell me more. Well, he just goes up into his room. He doesn't eat dinner with us. He beats up his sister all the time. He is so moody. I said, gee, does he have acne? And she said, yeah, actually, it's pretty bad. And I go, are you treating it? And she said, no, he's not concerned. And I go, how do you know that? So I handed her acne treatment. And as it happened, I had her back about 6 weeks later for something else we were working on. And I said, so how's your son? She goes, let me tell you, my son is so much better. His skin is clear. He doesn't beat up his sister. He comes down for dinner, and the whole atmosphere in the house has settled down. You didn't save one face, you saved an entire family. That's how important the impact is of skin on someone's self-esteem and everything around them. And so I point that out to the doctors out there, because it's not just the person in front of you, it's everyone behind them that you're supporting. And it's so valuable, so life-changing. Katie and I with Proactive have had this tremendous feeling of purpose because we, at the day when practice was ours, we get thousands upon thousands of letters like that, telling us how their lives had improved, how surprising it is when you take a visible stigma off the skin and give them a chance at life, a front row seat to participate without all that insecurity. And today, with bullying way up for any reason at all, let's keep it clean. Let's keep it so kids can thrive in their own skin.
You make such a great point. I hear that from parents. Oh, it doesn't bother them, but it's maybe they're still children, even like the early teenagers, maybe they don't know they might not even know yet that that's bothering them, maybe for another 10 or 20 years before they realize it. Or maybe if they do know, they don't know how to articulate it. So it really does kind of fall. And it's sort of like when you see the pediatrician, they have the checklist of, are you putting sunscreen on them? Making sure you don't have anything in the house they can like harm themselves with. It almost should be in that category of checklists. The things we know are going to bother them. Are we dealing with it?
Absolutely. High priority. I think as my pearl or mentoring to the young derms out there, I know we're in a rush. You don't have a lot of time, but this little detail of acne can change the life of a person today and into the future. Another story is patients of mine with visible scarring, and now they're in 20s, 30s, and they say, what I would have been, what choices I would have made, things I would have done differently if it were not for this.
Yeah.
And they still feel like a victim. They still feel like an acne sufferer decades later. And that regret should not have to happen. So whether it's psoriasis, atopic, acne, name them all, we can really help people on their journey. It's never no, by the way. It's the most important thing we do. And we should feel great to lean in hard about it and really give people the answers they deserve.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, you've changed the conversation for decades. You've kind of allowed other physicians to start actually standing up and doing these studies and bringing it to the forefront. It was actually amazing just seeing you live speaking on it. It was just like such an impactful message. It was so heartfelt. So it was amazing. And then the other piece was, of course, this was more of a women's event. So there were lots of men and women in the audience. And then some of the women asked really great questions about female leadership, because that we know is something we all struggle with at different times in our life as well. We had one physician who, I think she was a surgeon, and she said, her field is very male dominated. I guess we're kind of lucky in derm. We're very female dominated, but some other medical fields might not be so. And she kind of mentioned she's still feeling a lot of the imposter syndrome. And you have great advice in that regard. I'd love for you to kind of give some of your advice to the female listeners as well, and the male listeners, that they can kind of understand a little more about what women kind of go through in the mindset. Yeah. What do you recommend? How should women approach it so that they're not limiting themselves? They're able to take these leadership positions.
Great question. I think really everywhere there's imposter syndrome, in medicine, outside of it, in many levels, not just isolated to women. Men suffer from the same. So we're both struggling. And the answer is find advocates. So in your peer group, in your derm society or your surgical society, find people you like. There's always egos in the room. There's always the powerful in the room, or seeming so. But what happens is once you're pretty good at your game, once you've got it down, and really a few years out of residency, you should have that under control. Procedures shouldn't upset you. You should feel confident when you walk in the room. You know what you're doing, whether it's a disease, a surgical, or what have you. But once you own that, there's nothing that's less than between you and your peers in a professional platform. Nothing at all. And so now it's within you to find like-minded people, find the good people, find the nice people. For the arrogant, difficult, ego group that's in every walk of life, you don't need them. You don't need them. Now, for those who aspire to be the top of their game, because remember, we all had to work hard to be the top, even to get into med school. So that doesn't go away, but you can do it with kindness. You can do it with inclusivity. Inclusivity means you welcome people to work with you and share ideas. We're doing that in my office right now in the building, kind of down the hall. We're creating this really new coalition as the young doctors move in. They don't threaten me. I want to help them grow. I want to help them be the best. So when people refer, they go, oh, yeah, there's a whole pile of great talent in this office or this whole building. They take care of patients. They do the best work. They care. They really care. So keep your moral code high. Do it with kindness and integrity. Find mentors, people who are older, who are not intimidated by you. Find those people and build more coalitions. And you can be a good guy and you can win. And the imposter thing will vaporize.
That's great advice. So thank you for just also modeling it for the women. I think that's the other important piece is if we can see it, then you can kind of strive to be it. So, and then this is the Future of Derm podcast. So we always have to ask about what your thoughts are about the future. What do you think as far as all the places our field has been and what are you excited about in the future? Would love to just get your thoughts on any trends.
Well, what an amazing specialty we have. Let's take a moment and go, yeah, derms have it the best. When I started 40 years ago, 1984, we were doing acne and warts and syphilis, in case you wanted to know. That was the specialty for the most part, with some skin cancer. I joined the group when I graduated Stanford of Tromovich and Stegman. These are the icons of dermatology in the late 70s, 80s. These are the guys that did the clinicals on collagen. These are the guys that perfected Mohs surgery into fresh frozen sections. Ted, I think, invented the liquid nitrogen spray can. They were creative, interesting, innovative guys. And what they did is took us from primitive derm to advanced in every arena and had us all thinking all the time. And now here we are, 4 decades later, when I present at lectures, the residents don't know who they are. These are the two guys whose shoulders you are standing on. And there's a warning here because we need to protect our specialty. Everyone wants a piece of us. Anybody can inject Botox. It's a problem. Anybody can do the procedures, shoot lasers, without much training, without much insight or understanding of skin and disease and consequences. And we're left to clean up their mess. So we need to be smarter. Delegating to ancillaries is not in our favor. Giving way to private equity and selling your practices is not in the patient's favor. They're not going to get the care they should deserve to get. So it is our job to protect our specialty and not have everyone else tear it to pieces and claim it. And certainly in the very near future, AI, because everything we do is pattern recognition. Soon, even AI will take over a lot of our diagnostics. You know, you can be in nowhere, Texas, scan yourself with your cell phone and melanoma, yes or no. That's here. Derm scans are here. So it's our job to continue to be curious and grow our specialty, but not to delegate it or denigrate it. And that's it, guys. This is our chance. So let's see where you take it next after what Tromovich and Stegman started.
That's fascinating to hear about. Yeah, everywhere we've been, and it is the best field. I'd have to say I'm a little biased, but I think it's the best field. And it's interesting. I think the fact that we can do so much now even creates some challenges for the younger docs because they're going into a patient, they have 10 minutes, and the patients ask all of these things, and it actually kind of frustrates docs sometimes, and they don't know how to handle all of that. Whereas the other way to look at it is just opportunity. There's all these things they're asking you that you're able to do. So it's kind of just made it a little bit more complex too. So the new docs have to kind of figure out the whole world and breadth of everything that we can do as well.
You have a good point on opportunity. It's how you look at it. You know, 40 years ago when I started, everybody had a laundry list of things. They come in with 10 things. And there was never enough time, but there was enough time to focus on the tough stuff, the important things. Tell them we'd love to see you back. We'd love to help you on your skin journey, and we'll get to it. But in life today, you know, everything is time stamped. But I am interested in you. I am interested in your skin and its future. And I'm interested in teaching you. Live in it well so it serves you. And I think that's the thing. When people come to me and they go, why do I have a skin cancer here? I haven't been in the sun since I was 20. And they go, because you didn't listen to me when you were 13 and 18 and 22. So there's a lot of catching up here. We've got a lot of work to help you now that you got smart on sun science, but we can do so much more. So your word, Farah, is golden: opportunity. And that's how I see the world, as opportunity all the time, everywhere. And if I see a problem, that's not a problem. I see it as something to lean into and find a better way.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, that's the best way to think about it is we can take the patient on a journey because we have the abilities at every level and on all the 10 things on their list, we can do something about it. Whereas the centers that are just doing the one thing, they've been trained on it, they can't do that. And AI can't do that either. So that's the differentiator. That's what distinguishes us. And because it's the excellence, greatness, and
I'm going to tell you a secret about AI. People lie. They do. They don't tell the truth. When you're looking at a patient and they're in your office, you look at their body language, you look at little signs and signals, how they dressed, how they came in, etc. And a lot of answers are there unconsciously, if you will. And AI will never get that nuance. That's what's going to keep doctors being doctors, is paying attention to all of the rest of it. Otherwise, who needs doctors at all, right? So the toy will diagnose, it'll spit out a plan for you and you're out. But that nuance changes the ball game completely. So I really do ask the young docs, the residents, to learn that skill. That will serve you for the rest of your life, and you will enjoy your practice because it's so much more than just a widget. Now it's a relationship.
absolutely. Yeah, it's the art of medicine that you learn over time. And that can't be because that can't be copied. You can teach algorithms and differential diagnoses, but what we've learned with just dealing with human beings, that's the hard part. Just getting those little instances, and we're kind of powered to help people. They might not even necessarily, and even adults. We talked about teenagers earlier. Maybe they don't have the enough words to verbalize what they need, and if they're bothered by something, we see it in adults too, right? They come in and they don't quite know the thing that they need to be doing. So it's true. Those parts you can't really emulate without the decades of our training and the hours of patient experience that we've had.
But your point is there's imposter syndrome on the patient side.
Yeah.
You think about that. The patient is nervous. They've been waiting. They come into your office. And as they come in, they're off their game. So they have, in a sense, an imposter syndrome. And even that list of things they thought they were going to talk about, they start to get confused. So it's our job to make them feel relaxed, to feel that we have their best interest at heart, that we're going to do the best for their concerns, that we're really listening and we are there for them. And that means you create a team that follows up with you and delegate. In the morning, I'll say, okay, there's Mrs. So-and-so, who called him? Okay, that's on my desk. You guys do this one. And we just give a little phone call. Are you okay? Or a text, thinking of you. All those things help you, help the patient, and help you have a great day. Our days are pretty friction-free because we're always thinking ahead on the behalf of the patients and where their concerns are.
Absolutely. And your patients are so lucky to have you because you have advocated for patients and everyone out there with derm disease for decades. I mean, even on the TEDx stage, you went up and talked about advocating for patients. So I think anyone with any skin condition is so lucky to have people like you just rooting for them and putting the message out there, getting physicians and the public just knowledge and awareness around everything. So, and by the end of this, if anyone has not seen Dr. Fields' TEDx talk yet, definitely click on that because it was just amazing. It was so moving. And thank you so much for all of your time and all of your wisdom. And thank you for always being there for the SF Derm group as well. The young doctors, the residents, just everyone. You're so generous with your time. So I just have to give a huge thank you for this entire community that has you as a resource. It's incredible.
Well, thank you for all those accolades. But the truth is, my joy is seeing you grow, is seeing what you're doing, because this is on your free time and you are stepping up and making a big tent, and you're bringing people in instead of the other physician who felt outsider. You're doing everything to help people on their professional journey. And I applaud you. And I'm delighted to be part of your team because I like what you're doing. And I know it's going to benefit people. And that is the point. That is our collective purpose with joy. So Farah, let's bring it.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. That's so humbling. Doesn't get better than that. So thank you so much, Dr. Fields.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Future of Dermatology podcast. Remember to hit that subscribe button and share the podcast with your friends. The more you share and subscribe, the more we'll be able to grow and share our dermatology knowledge. If you have burning dermatology questions, feel free to leave them in the comment below, and we would love to address them in a future episode. And please note that this podcast is not intended to substitute for medical advice from your doctor.